Hey guys, welcome to Cheap Old Cars and Audio. In this video we take out that 2004 Mach 1 that I reviewed the other day, take it for a little drive on a back road. Not the curviest road, but decent road. It's kind of fun, kind of short. So the kind of point of this video is that these Mustangs aren't as bad as people say they are. I know Mustangs hit crowds, Mustangs do all the horrible things, they handle horribly, they slide all over the place. Really, they're not that bad. Yes, they could use some mods. They're cheap cars from 20 years ago. Throw some springs at them, throw some control arms and some subframe connectors. They actually handle pretty well for what they are. It's always going to be a for what they are thing. You could put super grippy tires on them. You could do tons of stuff, torque arm, Panhard bar, different K-member. Oh, you could move the suspension, change the entire suspension design. You can do all kinds of stuff to these cars, which is really cool. You can go as far as you want to and make them handle like world-class performance cars. But really, I mean, for a fairly cheap amount of money, Cheap Old Cars and Audio, right? For a fairly cheap amount of money, you can make these things handle pretty well. Now, I'm taking out a Mach 1 that already has a lot of things on it that you would do to like a GT, so it's already got stiffer springs, bigger brakes, and stuff like that already on the car stock. That's why I like those, because they already have a lot of that stuff to begin with. Hope you enjoy this footage. There's some audio issues, and I do a little bit of narration in it, but this is my first kind of real attempt at editing and putting something together like this. Really, I hope you enjoy it. I think I ask again at the end, but please like and subscribe to Cheap Old Cars and Audio, and hopefully we can bring a bit of a sane and calm, rational voice to the car YouTube world. Hey guys, you're going to hear a little bit of a voiceover here. My clip for my lav mic broke. First off, I want to get out of the way here that, yeah, I got a belly on me. I'm working on it. I'm not ashamed. I did a lot of college and a lot of hours at work and basically just sat down for 20 years. And that's really horrible for me. And like I said, I'm working on it. So not ashamed. I know I'm chubby. Yeah, we'll get better. So this Mustang, I like these Mustangs, right? So to me, it's a good value for the money. The 4th gen F-bodies are kind of expensive. Camaros, oh my gosh, 5th gen Camaros, 2010 and up a little bit. They're coming down in price. I've actually seen some pretty good prices on those. Now, you're not going to get the ones that actually have the better suspensions, like the 1LE cars. You're not going to get those for cheap prices, but I saw a pretty nice Camaro the other day. Don't remember exactly what year it was. I think it was 2011, but it was like 16,000. That's not too bad. However, for 16,000, you're really, really close to a C5 Z06, and you're definitely in the money range of a really nice, fairly low mile C5. So, performance-wise, that's where I'd go. However, let's talk about these Mustangs, because I'm out in a Mustang Mach 1. Now, I covered this in a different video. This Mach 1 has bullet front springs, staggered 18s, and that's it. It's an auto car, so yeah, it's not going to handle super well. And, everybody dogs on these cars. They say they can't handle, they're horrible, all this stuff. The car actually does pretty well. Now, what you saw in the first little opening bit of the video was me going northbound on this road, and then I moved my camera here and I'm going back southbound. At the end of this section where you see me in the car, I'm going to leave the entire northbound run up. And in that northbound run, I don't think I get over the speed limit but one time. The thing is, I had fun. Right? I'm not killing it. I'm not just absolutely bombing that road in the car. I could do 80, 90 miles an hour on some straights, well over 100 on others. It's fun. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun, but it's dangerous, and there's people out, and it's summertime. There could be a kid out playing. It's just not worth it, in my opinion. And so you run through some corners at pretty quick speeds. You're not going to be able to hear it in any of these videos, I don't think. But, I definitely had the tires squealing through some corners. It might not even look like it on video. Even with the wide angle lens, it doesn't look like I'm doing much. And right here in this section is the tightest corner section of the whole thing. It doesn't look like I'm doing that much. But back to these Mustangs. They're not that bad, right? Like if you've driven a V6 or a GT, you probably thought it was floaty and horrible and you didn't have much feel and it was kind of just junk. And I get that. Those springs on them are way, way, way too soft. So minimum for me, is bullet springs and Mach 1 springs. Now the bullet springs, I want to say, have a 600 pound front spring rate and the rears are 250. Now obviously when talking spring rates, that's going to be specific to the car as to how to compare them, right? And so you can't compare a different car because the design of the suspension will be different to the point where you might need a 1,000 pound per inch spring on one car and it'll ride soft, and on a different car a 450 pound per inch spring will ride rough, because of the different geometries and the different lever arm lengths and all kinds of things of the A-arms. Anyway, all that aside, these cars, the bullets in the Mach 1 have bolt-on subframe connectors, which help a little. Weld-on subframe connectors help a lot more. But with the stiffer springs, I'm telling you, they're not that bad. Now, I do definitely take some corners in these cars to the point where you can feel the rear end shifting a little bit. I don't know what I'm talking about here with my hands. My goodness. I have to keep them on the steering wheel. Anyway, yeah, you can feel the rear end like kind of twisting in the car a bit because it has C-channel stamped steel rear control arms and soft rubber bushings. But you take those out and put in some solid rear control arms, which don't really cost that much, a few $100, with some polyurethane bushings, and all of a sudden the rear end doesn't move around anymore. Now you can go further. You can do a torque arm, you can do Panhard bar and such, and you can really keep that rear end in place. But the one upgrade of just swapping over to the solid rear control arms, or the stiffer rear control arms, is a huge difference. Now we're going to do that on one of my cars pretty soon, on the Blue Bullet. Actually, we might do it on this Mach 1 because I know for a fact that the guy put in better control arms in this car, but I don't think he got all the bushings in place, the guy I bought it from. I think there's some bushings missing, so maybe I'll pull those out and I have a press so I can put new bushings in, or maybe we'll just swap in the Maximum Motorsports adjustable control arms that I originally purchased for my Blue Bullet. I don't know yet. So I'm going to talk about Matt Farah a little bit. I used to watch his videos some. Guy's got a bit too much of ego for me, not knocking him or whatever. He's been successful, that's great, but he ragged on Mustangs a lot, and he always compared them to the 90s Mustang he had, and that kind of goes back to my springs being too soft thing. There is a video where he took out one of his fans in the guy's black Mach 1, right? And he was talking about, like, he was surprised because, now I'm referring to Matt Farah because he drives a lot of cars. I know that a lot of people that watch car videos on YouTube think of him as a person that's well respected, knows what he's talking about. I'm not a huge fan, but I'm going to reference him because I know that a lot of people do like him. So I remember when he took that Mach 1 out, and I watched the video again yesterday to refresh my memory, but he was pleasantly surprised. Said, yes, it still feels like an old Mustang, but the turn-in was pretty good. It stayed pretty flat in the corners. And yeah, mid-corner bumps, like I remember specifically, he said, if you're not ready for it, that could be a problem, but if you're ready for it, it's fine. Like, the car's going to stay there. But if you think the car's doing something weird, then you get weird with the steering wheel, you could upset the balance and get it sliding a little bit. But if you know it's there, the tires are fairly grippy, the car is going to stick, right? To a point, of course, to as far as the tires can go, depending on what tires you have and many other factors. There's that really sharp corner that was in the first of the video. This driving section's almost over, so I'll get done with this talking part here. But yeah, they're not bad. Stiffer springs. They all have the same steering ratio, the V6 up through the Cobra. However, like the Bullet, the Mach 1, the Cobras, they have different amounts of it, but the steering's actually a little bit stiffer in them. And then in my Bullet, I put a smaller steering wheel in, which effectively gives me quicker steering, because I'm doing less of a turn at the steering wheel to get the same output at the wheels, if that makes sense. So it's quicker steering, and since I have a shorter lever arm, the steering's actually a little tougher to move. That makes it feel nicer, honestly, having a little bit more heft in the steering wheel. It's a rack and pinion steering, so I mean, you're going to feel what you're going to feel through its bushings and things, but having that extra heft really helps. Back to this Mach 1, honestly, I like it. So the auto thing is not super fun. You have to push the gas down further than you want to for it to shift down. It's not the quickest car ever. It does sound pretty good, but it was still fun. I could still kind of prepare for the corners. I knew the road, right? So kind of get the car where I want it going into the corner, slow down, and maybe hit the gas a little bit before, so shift down or shift down manually. I didn't do that on any of this drive out. I did some manual shifting on the drive when the camera was on the outside of the car, and it was enjoyable, right? It was a good time. You could push the car harder. I think it has a transmission mount. I think I mentioned in one of the other videos that it possibly had an issue with an exhaust hanger, but it's doing some weird clunks, and there's reverberation through the body of things. It's either an exhaust hanger or the transmission mount's bad. So I'll get up under the car and figure that out and replace it soon. But they're not bad, right? And you can get these cars for cheap. Like I said, I think I've got 11.5 in this car with tires. And so for 11.5, I've got a 300 horsepower car with under 100,000 miles, full leather interior, AC works great, cruises across country. I mean, we drove it 900 miles home almost. Cruises across the country great, gets decent enough gas mileage, and it already has a lot of the things that you maybe would want to put on a different Mustang. So if you wanted, I really kind of promote the Bullets and the Mach 1s for this reason. If you wanted to add some horsepower, well, Bullets have more mid-range torque than a GT, and the Mach 1s have the 4-valve dual overhead cam, 300-ish horsepower. So that's cool, right? They already have better brakes. They already have stiffer suspension. They already have bolt-on subframe connectors, which is better than nothing. And yeah, that's most of the things you kind of want to do to start out with. So I like to start there with those cars because they kind of already do pretty well, right? They're fun. They're fun right out of the box. I think they're pretty good packages for what they are. It's still a 20-something-year-old cheap Mustang. I fully get that. It's nowhere even close in comparison to some of these newer cars and the capabilities that they have at the limits. But at sane street speeds, it's a fun car. And that's why I like it, because I got a really fun car for not that much money. And that's kind of why I'm here. I'm going to promote these things that are, hey, this is pretty cool. Didn't cost that much money. I don't have that much money in any of my cars. Honestly, the one we spent the most on was the V6 because we bought it when it was almost new. So, I think we'll cut that off here, call it good, and then we'll go on to the back section of the video, which, for this back section of the video, really this is kind of the end of it. I'm going to leave that full drive up on it that had the outside footage from the car, or from on the hood, right? The full drive. It's not that curvy of a road. There are curvier roads around me, but they take a little longer to get to. And honestly, my wife and son are sick, so I didn't want to be gone too long while I was filming today. So yeah, a little bit trying to not be so selfish and be kind of here with them and help take care of them. So I just went out and did a short drive today. It was gone about 30-45 minutes. All right, guys. So I'm going to end off the narration here. The back of this video will just be the drive, just the exhaust and everything. And, the camera on the hood, and you hear the exhaust. So, hey, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Do all those things, please. Help me grow this channel. So, well, one, so I don't have to go back to work. But two, so I can bring a more sane view of car culture to this platform. Not all of us have tons of money or the ability to drive 130 on a road and not care about a ticket. I'm a regular guy, and there's cops around here, and I do not want to get pulled over. So yeah, like and subscribe to Cheap Old Cars and Audio, and hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.